Hey friends, what's up? It's Dominique back with another video. For those that are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Dominique again, and I'm currently on a weight loss journey, sharing all of the steps along the way with you all. Currently, I'm down about 75 pounds, and in today's video, we're going to talk about, as I've been through this journey, what some of the things that I've learned from past diets. Whether they were successful or not is debatable, but I'm eager to share that with you all. So at the start of this journey and throughout my life, I've tried several different diet types, and we'll talk through some of those. Weight has been a lifelong pain point for me, and so I've tried many things throughout the years, but there's some that stick out in particular that I actually think that I utilize in the makeup of what consists of my diet and lifestyle today. So we're going to start with some of the more name brand type of diet plans, and then we'll talk about some of the trendy things that I've come up to that I did most recently. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is Jenny Craig. Jenny Craig was a program that I did maybe 10 years ago. I lost a significant amount of weight on it. It did me wonders at that time in my life. However, and for those that don't know, Jenny Craig is a service that gives you pre-portioned meals. Most of them are on the shelf, freezer, made for you. That's all you consume. And so it contains your calories and nutrients within the parameters of their program. This was great for me at the time. I was actually fresh out of college. I wasn't really interested in like cooking and things like that. So it made it easy for me to just eat and lose weight. And it taught me portion control as well. However, because it is their foods and I had a significant amount of weight to lose, once you lose it, you can incorporate more of your own. I was getting bored of their regimen, their catalog of foods, and so I stopped the program. I was able to keep some of the weight off because I think it did a great job of like teaching me at the time how to navigate portions within the confines of Jenny Craig, and I took a little bit of that, but it didn't stick long term, especially as I incorporated more going out and being faced with larger portions and having to make a decision to eat less and not just have less presented to me. I just wasn't able to keep up with weight loss. So I think it was great, like training wheels program, but it just wasn't the right fit for long-term success. In the spirit of name brands, I know a lot of people have tried Weight Watchers. I've done it several times throughout the year. It's currently called WW. And let me pause. For those that are doing these programs, and if they're working for you, if you love them, that is great. My job is to not talk bad about them or to convince you to do some sort of specific diet. That's not it. I just think there's a lot of, you just don't know what you're getting to when you walk into a lot of these things. And I want to share some of the things that I've learned from them. And hopefully you can leverage that if you're deciding to go down that path or not. And if you're trying to find what works best for you, that you can just learn a little bit from my experience. But if it works for you, girl, please, that's beautiful. Keep going. Please keep going. All right. So WW. I think one of the best things that this program teaches you is that you can eat what you love and lose weight. And that is something that was a new idea for me, as most of the time when we think about dieting, and again, specifically for those that have a lot of weight to lose, we really don't want to diet. We want to change our lives for long-term success. But when we think about weight loss, we think about eating a specific thing, being healthy, eating salads and veggies, and that's wonderful and you want to incorporate that. But sometimes it's important that we incorporate the things that we love to eat, the things that bring us joy, the things that are passed down through our families, through our history, our culture. We still want to have those incorporated into our lives, and there's room for it. And I think WW does a great job of showing you that you can infuse that. We've all seen the Oprah, I love bread. Yeah, we all love bread. And it's important that we learn how to incorporate that in a healthy way. So once your weight is gone, it can stay gone and you can still enjoy those things and not feel deprived, not feel like you're missing out on life or a part of who you are. You're able to operate as normal because, again, lifestyle change. So let's talk a little bit about some of the like more trendy things. When I started this current journey, I was dabbling in a little bit more of the type of like trendy diet. So I did low carb, not keto. I did intermittent fasting, and I also went vegan for a little bit. And I think all three of those things taught me a lot, and I was able to incorporate them into an eating style that works really well for me right now, that sort of pulls from those different things. So let's talk about it. Let's start with intermittent fasting. All over social media, all over YouTube, there's tons of content about intermittent fasting. For me, the initial thought was, oh, I see a lot of people losing weight fast, let's try this. And actually didn't lose a ton of weight on intermittent fasting, but it did teach me a really great lesson. So the style that I chose was the 16-8 plan, which means you don't eat for 16 hours and you can eat for an 8-hour window. This roughly meant that I was able to carry on as normal, but I just cut out breakfast. I wouldn't eat till about, I think 1 o'clock, and then I'd stop eating closer to bedtime. And so what this taught me was how to learn how to sit with hunger. I used to be one of those people that, like, if I skipped a meal or if I got too hungry, I'm like, oh, now I got to like double eat. I got to make up for what I lost because, you know, I need all my calories. And that just wasn't the case, actually. So I was able to learn that I could sustain hunger. It wasn't going to kill me. It wasn't the end of the world. And then once that I got to the point of eating, I had to train myself how to not go beyond the boundary of eating too much to make up for whatever I thought I had lost, which was nothing. So this was really helpful for me in learning how to manage hunger, which was a new skill for me. All right, so keto/low carb. I couldn't do keto. I really love fruit. I eat it all the time and I wasn't gonna give it up. So I chose low carb. So the way I grew up, and the way many of you grew up, is when you have a meal, you have your protein, you have your carb, you have your veggies. And that trifecta makes a complete meal. That's how I always ate. However, what I learned was that when I actually cut out the carbs, I felt a lot more full and satisfied. I felt like my workouts went a little better. I slept a little better. So the carbs made me kind of sluggish. And they weren't really helpful in the weight loss journey because I started seeing some weight come off a little quicker. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't eat carbs, because I eat plenty of carbs. I've just learned how to select really healthy carbs. So I eat a lot of plant-based things like sweet potatoes and corn, and I try to stay or limit how much like rice and pasta that I might consume. And I still, like I said, I still eat those things, but in moderation. And I know how to use them a little better in my weekly plans. But I'm not gonna give them up. I love bread. It's so good. Okay, so lastly, let's talk about vegan. Oh, and I forgot to mention, one of the things with low carb too, it helped me to reframe how I cook. So I've started to make meals without carbohydrates, and I've shared some of those. I'll continue to share some of those things, like swapping out pasta for spaghetti squash. I do a chicken Alfredo with just the chicken and broccoli and Alfredo sauce, no pasta. Super satisfying for me. I don't miss it at all. I still get the flavor and the taste that I want without the heavy carbs that I found just aren't really supportive of my weight loss goals. Okay, so vegan. Now, vegan is a divisive topic. For me, I don't have any intention on being vegan long term. I love cheese, I love eggs, and I incorporate them into my diet almost well, not daily at this point, but quite frequently, especially eggs for breakfast. But my goodness. One of the best things that veganism taught me, or plant-based eating, was how to reframe cooking. So us kids of the 90s loved our processed foods growing up, and I still used some of them for shortcut cooking. There's nothing wrong with that. If it's working for you, it's working for you. But for me, I just feel like I felt a lot better when I cut out the processed foods. So I learned how to shop the perimeter of the grocery store. I spend all of my time, and there's some things like I need to pick up peanut butter and whatnot in the aisles, but I spend most of my time shopping produce and protein, which is, the perimeter of the store. And I had to retrain cooking. I had to cut out, I cut out dairy, butter, eggs, and I found that I was still able to make really tasty, flavorful meals. For me, at the time when I went vegan, I chose not to do things like processed protein supplements like tofu and seitan and things like that, because for me, my goal was to eat more whole foods, and those aren't whole foods, they're processed, just the same as a hot dog is for me. I still incorporate a lot of whole foods. I still spend that same, do that same shopping style where I spend the majority of my time on the perimeters of the store, focusing largely on produce, fruits and veggies, and finding out how to make those the stars of my dishes that I cook on a frequent basis. One of the really cool things about going plant-based as well, because I cut out dairy, I learned that dairy really didn't serve me physically at all. I have tendonitis in my right knee, makes it hard to do exercises and things, especially like long-term walking. It can flare up and become inflamed quite easily. But when I cut dairy out of my diet, I realized that it doesn't really flare up anymore, which is great because I can be more active like I'd like to be, which serves me even more in a weight loss journey, right? So I still try to go low on dairy. Again, I'm not going to cut it out completely. Love cheese. It's good. But I can eat less of it. And I've learned that I can live without it. Okay, well, with all of that, I think, like I just said, like the best thing that you can really do for yourself as you navigate all of these different diets and lifestyle changes is learning really how to incorporate more whole foods. I do think if there's one like soapbox to stand on and preach about, that would be the one for me. Limiting processed foods helps you, if anything, know what you're eating and what you're consuming. So you can monitor things like sodium and sugar, fats, and really structure your eating in a way that's going to serve you best. But again, what works for you works for me. That's just what I've learned on my journey. I hope you enjoyed the share. I'd really love to learn what diets have you all tried, what's worked, what hasn't worked. Is there something that I missed that I should give it a try? At this point, I do have a pretty consistent way of eating, but I love learning about food and how it serves my body. So let me know if I missed something. Help me out. Dropped my phone case. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share. And I look forward to seeing y'all next time. Thanks so much for tuning in. Peace.